Our magnificent planet, a vibrant tapestry woven with an almost infinite variety of life forms, presents us with creatures of astounding intelligence, remarkable adaptability, and breathtaking ingenuity. But the grand theater of the natural world also hosts a cast of characters whose cognitive abilities, shall we say, lean towards the more unconventional end of the spectrum. Here are 20 of the dumbest animals on planet Earth, and you won't believe number 1. Join me on an exploration not of genius but of a different kind of wonder. The wonder of how such creatures with their often bewildering decision-making manage to persist in the relentless struggle for survival. Prepare to be astonished, perhaps a little perplexed and certainly entertained, as we delve into the lives of these fascinating if somewhat intellectually challenged members of the animal kingdom. Our first subject is a bird familiar to many, particularly around festive seasons, the turkey. Domesticated turkeys, selectively bred over generations for size and meat, yield rather than sagacity, present a rather different picture. It has been widely reported that domestic turkeys, when faced with a downpour, will sometimes gaze skywards, their beaks agape, seemingly mesmerized by the falling water, risking drowning. We venture now from the terrestrial realm into the vast blue expanse of the world's oceans to encounter a truly remarkable and in many ways perplexing creature, the mola mola, or ocean sunfish. Despite its imposing presence, the mola mola appears to possess a rather limited capacity for avoiding obstacles, often colliding with boats, floating debris, and even aquarium walls. Their diet consists mainly of jellyfish, yet the mola mola often becomes a victim itself, mistaking plastic bags for their gelatinous prey. Returning to more familiar ground, we consider the pig. The wild boar, ancestor of our domesticated swine, is an intelligent, resourceful, and often formidable creature. The story of its descendant, the farm pig, however, often takes a different turn. Farmers often report instances of pigs attempting to consume items of absolutely no nutritional value, and indeed items that can be actively harmful. This indiscriminate ingestion highlights a disconnect, a failure to adequately assess what is edible and what is not. We journey now to the sun-scorched landscapes of Australia, home to an iconic and rather peculiar avian resident, the emu. Emus are known for their erratic movements, particularly when startled or confused, often running headlong into fences, as if the concept of a solid barrier is simply too complex to process. Their response to perceived threats can be equally perplexing, sometimes involving a panicked, high-speed dash in a completely arbitrary direction. Our attention now turns to an animal renowned for its agility, its hardiness, and its seemingly insatiable, indiscriminate appetite, the goat. Goats, it is famously said, will attempt to eat almost anything. Clothing left unattended on a washing line, paper, cardboard boxes, even, astonishingly, metal cans, all can fall prey to the inquisitive and ever-chewing mouth of a goat. Their dietary adventurousness often crosses the line from resourcefulness into sheer recklessness. We journey now to the lush, verdant canopies of Central and South American rainforests to observe one of nature's most famously unhurried creatures, the sloth. The sloth spends the majority of its life hanging upside down from tree branches, its powerful curved claws providing an anchor in its leafy realm. Astonishingly, there are documented instances where a sloth, while navigating the branches, has mistaken its own arm for a part of the tree. Gripping its own limb with the intent of finding a new hold, it can lose its purchase on the actual branch and tumble to the forest floor. Back in the more familiar surroundings of the farmyard, or indeed in many back gardens across the globe, we encounter the humble chicken. Chickens are creatures easily thrown into a state of panic. A sudden noise, an unexpected movement, or the appearance of a perceived threat can send an entire flock into a flurry of squawking, feather-ruffling disarray. Their ability to retain information also appears limited. What was a source of terror moments ago can be quickly forgotten, only for the cycle of alarm to repeat itself with the next minor disturbance. We travel now to the misty mountains of central China, the exclusive domain of one of the world's most beloved and iconic animals, the giant panda. Pandas are specialist feeders, their diet consisting almost exclusively of bamboo. This plant, while abundant in their habitat, is notoriously low in nutrients, forcing them to consume vast quantities daily. Perhaps most perplexing is their well-documented reluctance to mate. This reproductive lethargy, combined with their specialized diet and habitat loss, has pushed them to the brink. Our journey takes us back beneath the waves to the vibrant coral reefs, teeming with life of every imaginable shape and color. The boxfish, looking for all the world like a living swimming cube, is not what one would describe as a streamlined swimmer. Navigating the complex three-dimensional architecture of a coral reef presents a significant challenge for these awkwardly shaped fish, often resulting in frequent collisions. We return to more familiar terrestrial landscapes, often gardens, meadows, and woodlands, to consider an animal known for its rapid reproduction and its equally rapid retreat from perceived danger, the rabbit. Rabbits exist in a near-constant state of high alert, their senses finely tuned to detect the slightest hint of a predator. A sudden, unexpected loud noise or the abrupt appearance of a harmless creature can induce such profound fear in a rabbit that it can suffer a fatal heart attack. Our exploration of nature's less cerebrally gifted now takes us to a creature often found in damp gardens and undergrowth, moving at a pace that redefines unhurried: the snail. The brain of a snail is a remarkably simple affair, sometimes described as being no larger than a single grain of sand. Their primary defense mechanism, retracting into their shell, is a passive one, requiring little in the way of strategic thought. In the grand race of life, the snail is resolutely, and perhaps contentedly, in the slow lane. We journey once more to Australia, a continent that seems to have a particular affinity for ecologically disruptive introductions. The cane toad, originally introduced to control destructive beetles in Queensland's sugarcane fields, found the Australian environment very much to its liking, with abundant alternative food sources and a lack of natural predators. The result has been ecological chaos, with native predator populations plummeting after attempting to consume these toxic invaders. Our gaze now falls upon a creature synonymous with longevity and a measured, deliberate pace of life: the tortoise. Should a tortoise find itself flipped onto its back, it faces a dire situation. Its shell, the very thing designed for protection, becomes a cumbersome prison. Unlike many other animals, a tortoise often struggles immensely to right itself, frequently remaining stranded without external assistance. We turn our attention now to another member of the avian world, a bird often kept for its ornamental plumage, its rather raucous calls, and its insect-eating prowess: the guinea fowl. When a guinea fowl becomes panicked or disoriented, it has a tendency to walk in circles. Even when presented with a clear escape route, a flustered guinea fowl may ignore the obvious path to safety and instead continue its circular patrol. Our journey now leads us to an animal that has served humankind for millennia, renowned for its strength, endurance, and famously, its stubbornness: the donkey. Often, when faced with an unfamiliar situation, a perceived obstacle, or simply a command it does not comprehend, a donkey will resort to immobility. This resolute stillness is not necessarily courage in the face of adversity. More often, it appears to be a manifestation of deep-seated confusion, or an inability to process new information effectively. We descend once more into the ocean's depths, to the seabed, where a creature of remarkable simplicity resides: the sea cucumber. The sea cucumber possesses no brain in the conventional sense, merely a ring of neural tissue around its mouth and radial nerves running the length of its body. Its survival strategy appears to be rooted in its sheer unappetizing nature and its ability to be incredibly boring, often being overlooked by predators. We remain in the marine realm, but shift our focus to a creature of astonishing power and sensory capability: the mantis shrimp. There are numerous accounts of mantis shrimp attacking their own reflections in the glass, repeatedly striking the side of the tank. This misdirected aggression suggests that for all its incredible sensory input and physical prowess, its cognitive processing can be surprisingly flawed. We now consider an animal that has become almost emblematic of limited cognitive abilities, a staple of fairground prizes and household aquariums: the goldfish. The common refrain is that a goldfish can only remember something for a mere 3 seconds. While scientific studies suggest their memory is somewhat better, their general behavior lends credence to the idea of a mind that is not overly burdened with past recollections. Our penultimate creature takes us back to the vibrant sunlit waters of the coral reef, a habitat it actively helps to shape, albeit in a rather destructive manner, the parrotfish. One of its most peculiar habits is its nightly ritual of enveloping itself in a transparent cocoon made of mucus. However, their daily routines can seem somewhat haphazard, often forgetting their preferred resting spots or shelters within the reef. This, combined with their constant munching on rock-hard coral, paints a picture of a creature operating more on instinct than on careful planning. And so we arrive at our final and perhaps most surprising entry in this catalog of nature's less intellectually endowed, the koala. Koalas possess one of the smallest brain-to-body weight ratios of any mammal. Astonishingly, koalas can struggle to recognize eucalyptus leaves as food if they are presented in an unfamiliar context, such as plucked and placed on a flat surface. Despite their undeniable charm, koalas, it must be said, are not nature's great thinkers. And there we have it, a tour through some of the more intellectually unconventional corners of the animal kingdom. From the turkey that gazes skyward in a rainstorm to the koala perplexed by leaves on a plate, we've seen that intelligence, as we typically define it, is not a prerequisite for survival in every ecological niche. Each of these creatures, in its own peculiar way, has found a means to persist, a testament to the sheer tenacity and bewildering diversity of life on Earth. Thank you for joining me, Walid Ghazal, on this exploration of